speaker, and I'm very happy to welcome Kelly Tai. I think it's getting late for you, but thank you for your patience.
No, thank you for having me here, Stefan.
Kelly, you are working for IRENA and a wonderful expert there. We're working now a lot together, and you will now introduce IRENA's perspective. Let me explain that you are working in particular with the Coalition for Action. That's a non-governmental kind of branch of IRENA, where we have a community energy working group, which I'm co-chairing. And it's always been a pleasure now since you joined that team, and now we look forward to hearing from you.
Great. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to speak today. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure, and just give me a minute to share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can see it. I assume the others can as well.
Okay,
Looks
great. So just by way of introduction, IRENA, or the International Renewable Energy Agency, is a intergovernmental organization. It was established about 10 years ago, and our mandate is to facilitate cooperation and promote the adoption and sustainable use of renewable energy. And so, like Stefan mentioned, my main role at IRENA is to support the IRENA Coalition for Action, which I'll spend some time talking about today. Really here, I want to spend my time talking about sort of other ways that IRENA brings different actors to advance renewable energy. So in addition to talking about the Coalition for Action, I'd also like to share with you information about a second IRENA initiative that I think really highlights how international organizations can help foster investment partnerships. So we all know that massive expansion of renewable energy will be needed to achieve targets established under the Paris Agreement, as well as the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So according to the latest tracking report on SDG 7, which IRENA helped launch earlier this month, we are currently not on track to meet targets for energy access, renewable energy, and energy efficiency. I can certainly say that from IRENA's side, we do see community energy playing a critical role, well, both in energy access as well, more broadly, in the energy transition. And I think furthermore, international organizations, including IRENA, also have a big role to play in sort of bringing different actors together and mobilizing the partnerships that will be needed to achieve this transition. So I'll keep my introduction to the coalition very brief in the interest of time. But the coalition was formed back in 2014 jointly by IRENA and a number of industry and civil society organizations. At that time, the group had collectively recognized that there was a need for a multi-stakeholder platform that connects non-governmental actors with IRENA members who would be governments essentially. And so the coalition today has over 100 members, including representatives from the private sector, civil society, industry associations, international organizations, and research and academia. And I think a lot of us do believe that this diversity continues to be one of the coalition's biggest strengths. So like Stefan mentioned, one of the areas of focus for the coalition is community energy. And since our members decide what topics we work on, I think this really reflects the importance that our membership places on this topic and its role in a just and inclusive transition. So I'll touch on a few areas of focus for our working group this year. And right now we're really focusing on building on the work that we've already done to date to bring attention to two key aspects of community energy. So first, right now we're working on a white paper that looks at the challenge of financing community energy. So it's very sort of relevant to our discussions today here. And in this white paper, we're going to be providing an overview of the different actors, both sort of government and non-governmental, that influence financing, draw some lessons learned from case studies, and then at the end, recommend several key actions that policymakers can take to think foster an environment that enables financing and investment in community energy. Another area of focus for us this year is that we're also developing case studies on different community energy projects around the world, with the aim of exploring different dimensions of community energy, such as the role of the community in decision making, as well as community energy's potential to create local benefits. So in terms of the coalition's impact and how it has been able to do so, I would say that the coalition has been able to contribute to dialogue on key renewable energy topics through different means like research products, like white papers, I would say, as well as communications campaigns. So for example, I think for the last few years now, the coalition has been contributing to the discourse on how we can move towards 100% renewable energy. And their work has really been focused more on the looking beyond the aspiration to 100% to how we can do this by focusing on the role that different actors can play in this transition. The coalition has also been a platform for directly connecting non-governmental actors, like coalition members, with key decision makers. So from IRENA's side, we've organized several public-private dialogues on different renewable energy topics in the last few years. And these dialogues are meant to give coalition members a unique opportunity to directly engage with both government officials and legislators in one setting. And we've had sort of very good reception to these events and plan to continue holding them. So now I'd like to move beyond the coalition and spend a few minutes talking about an example of how IRENA is fostering partnerships between projects in developing countries and potential investors. But before I go into details, I would like to make a few general comments on how IRENA is generally well positioned to support this type of efforts. So we have, IRENA definitely has a global reach as an organization. I didn't mention this at the beginning of my talk, but we now count over 160 members among our membership, and we're actively engaging 20 others as well. So we're really sort of having near universal membership at this point of countries. IRENA's work is also traditionally focused on emerging economies. And for the last decade since IRENA has been in existence, we've developed a large body of knowledge of renewable energy and a strong understanding of the different policy environments that you find in different countries. IRENA's work also involves a practical experience in project implementation support, and there are many initiatives that IRENA has contributed to that. I think in the interest of time, I won't mention here. But this work is feeding into another initiative that IRENA is just starting up. So just give me 1 second here. Which is the Climate Investment Platform. So the Climate Investment Platform, or CIP, was announced at last year's Climate Action Summit, and it's an initiative of UNDP, Sustainable Energy for All, and IRENA in coordination with the Green Climate Fund. And the objective of CIP is to scale up investments in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and renewables-related grid upgrade projects in developing countries. So the approach of this platform is based on 4 different tracks. Firstly, and I'll point to track 1 here, there's a recognition that countries need to set ambitious targets for renewable energy through their nationally determined contributions, or NDCs. Secondly, the targets also have to be translated into policies and regulations that attract investments. And thirdly, where there are residual risks that are preventing investments, there are risk mitigation mechanisms that can be implemented and made available. And then finally, once the sort of enabling environments and de-risking tools are put in place, that's when you can arrange funding for projects in the most efficient way. So I want to talk a little bit more about track 4 here, because it particularly focuses on facilitating matchmaking between projects and potential investors. And this is actually a aspect of SIP that IRENA is leading. So I'd like to share more details with you on how we are actually doing that, because you can imagine that there are sort of several tracks of activities that are going on, and we're still in very early stages. But I'll highlight a few things here. So one thing that IRENA is doing right now is identifying partners who are prepared to provide financial, technical, or other supports to projects. In addition to identifying partners, we're also developing a pipeline of projects. And so this involves identifying projects that have potential and providing them with support to achieve a, I'll say, level of maturity that's required by partners. So this would include activities like assessing the investor readiness of projects and advising project owners on how to improve financial viability, or providing these sponsors access to some of IRENA's project facilitation tools. And then finally, a big part of this track is connecting projects with partners who can provide support in line with their own mission, eligibility criteria, and geographical scope. So part of this matchmaking will be done through regular investment forums, where partners and projects have an opportunity to interact face-to-face. Well, when SIP was initially conceived, this is obviously pre-COVID-19, and these investment forums were originally envisioned to be in-person events. But clearly we're not operating in that type of environment anymore, so we're sort of considering different alternatives as to how this might happen. But each investment forum will have a sub-regional focus. And IRENA has identified 14 different clusters of countries, sort of spanning the developing world, I would say. For the investment forums, before I forget, because we do get this question a lot, we're expecting to host the first investment forums in 2021. So just to give you a sense of the timeline. So in terms of where else we are currently at, right now we're still accepting applications from project developers and organizations who are prepared to provide support for projects. The we opened the door for proposals from partners back in January of this year, so several months ago now. And we've had over 200 partners registered to express their interest. So we've gotten like a very good response. Similarly, we've also gotten a good response on the project side. And I believe as of June of this year, we have upwards of 170 projects in the pipeline. I'll make a little plug here as well that we're definitely considering community-owned projects as well. So if you go on the website here, and the website that I've provided a link to here, you would be able to see a link to complete an application form. And on the project side, there is a space for community-owned projects. I would actually encourage all of you generally to visit the IRENA for SIP web portal for more details, or if you do have questions, to contact IRENA SIP team at sip@irena.org. I think that's all I have to sort of communicate to all of you today. I wanted to keep my time here limited, and I hope I've provided all of you with some food for thought. And thank you very much for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. That was indeed an excellent presentation, and with an interesting window that we certainly should look into and see the opportunities. I'm very pleased to hear that IRENA considers community projects also as potentially part of that program. So thank you very much, Kelly.